He wouldn't allow a soul close, not the medics, not the vet, nor the SEAL team who pulled him from the battlefield's fury. The K-9 was gravely wounded, blood pouring fast. Every time someone tried to approach, he snapped fiercely. They branded him dangerous. They said he was beyond saving, that he'd never trust a human again. Until a rookie SEAL quietly stepped up, young, unranked, nearly invisible, whispering 6 words into the chaos, 6 words only one unit on Earth ever dared utter. The dog halted, locked eyes, then hesitantly laid his injured paw in her hands because she alone understood who he truly was and what he had lost. But before revealing the moment that stilled the entire clinic, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from around the world. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell. Because when a K-9 shuts out the world, sometimes all it takes is the right voice to bring him home. It was just before 9 o'clock at night when the doors of Bayside Emergency Veterinary Clinic burst open. 2 MPs rushed in first, boots skidding across tile uniforms smeared with dirt and streaked with what looked like blood. Between them, strapped to a sagging gurney, lay a grievously wounded Belgian Malinois, muscles taut, eyes wild and unblinking. He neither barked nor growled. He simply watched every movement, every shadow, as if waiting for a trap to spring. Call sign Ghost 1. MP gasped, catching his breath. Shrapnel wound. Won't let anyone near. We tried field tourniquets, said the other. But Ghost snarled, suddenly yanking his leather muzzle nearly off with a savage jerk. A nurse cried out and stumbled back. Jesus muttered, the vet already pulling on gloves with grim determination. What kind of dog is this? A SEAL team dog? The MP answered. His handler was killed in action. We found him dragging himself toward the extraction zone. A junior tech moved forward with a harness sling, and Ghost lunged not wildly, but with sharp, precise intent. The harness clattered to the floor as one tech ducked behind the X-ray machine for cover. Another reached for the sedative drawer. He's going to lose the leg, a lieutenant warned from the doorway. We can't get close. We can't treat him. That's pure muscle bleeding, the vet cursed. Full sedative load. 3 cc's intramuscular. He wasn't biting tonight, but when Ghost heard the word sedation, or maybe just sensed the shift, the tone, the hands reaching the misguided confidence, he let out a long, haunting howl that froze everyone in place. Then he reared up, claws scraping, and tore through the muzzle entirely. His jowls were flecked with foam. Blood trickled from his back, staining the gurney a deep crimson. Yet he never tried to flee. Instead, he backed into the corner, tail lowered, chest, heaving ears pinned tight, eyes locked on the circle of humans who tried to help without ever asking if he wanted it. He's unmanageable, someone whispered. Beyond saving came a softer, uncertain voice. It's like he isn't just injured, he's terrified. Still, no one paused as the vet readied the syringe. Then a new figure stepped into the doorway, quiet, composed, arms crossed. A woman clad in worn SEAL fatigues, her hair neatly tucked into regulation bun boots scuffed from recent operations. No clipboard, no rank challenge, just calm presence. Nobody noticed her at first, except Ghost. His ears twitched once, and for the first time in an hour. The growling ceased abruptly. She didn't announce herself loudly, didn't flash badges or bark commands like the senior corpsman who stormed through the clinic, loud but unclear. Petty Officer Riley Hart simply stepped softly over the threshold, her uniform creased from rough transport sleeves rolled to her elbows, a smudge of dried blood still clinging to her wrist. A senior corpsman barked at her sharply the moment he caught sight. This isn't a playground for rookies. She stayed still, no words, no pushback, her eyes locked unwaveringly on Ghost. The Belgian Malinois hadn't blinked since she entered, still panting heavily, flank pounding with blood flow. But his pupils had tightened, focused sharply. His stance remained tense but less defensive, as if trying to reach deep beyond instinct and past pain. Riley stepped forward a pace. "Did you not hear the order?" the corpsman growled again. "I heard," she said softly, yet never broke her gaze from Ghost. The way his ears swiveled, calm, calculated, not frantic scanning from behind, alert to subtle shifts. He hadn't snapped at the military police, Only the clinic staff felt his silent warning. It was almost audible. Not a bark, a caution, but an intense scan, searching, sorting threats. Her eyes drifted down to an old scar running faintly along Ghost's muzzle, barely visible through dried mud and flecks of foam. This wasn't fresh, this was a battle wound, marked by teeth precise and intentional. She'd seen that kind of scar before on dogs trained for hazardous zones. K9 units who crawled under barbed wire cameras strapped to their backs. War dogs, not pets, not mascots, but warriors. "Restrict him now," someone shouted from the supply closet. "Catch pole blanket muzzle anything," but they'd already tried. Riley whispered almost to herself. That's not the problem. What was that heart the corpsman snapped sharply? She blinked once. Nothing. But it was everything the twitch in Ghost's hind leg when he heard Handler. His eyes tracked movement, not faces. He wasn't merely reacting. He was analyzing threats, decoding patterns, plotting escape routes, and failing because the one voice he needed was nowhere to be found. "He's too far gone." A voice muttered behind her. "Retired K9s don't come back from this." Riley's jaw clenched hard. They just didn't get it. They were treating a legendary war dog like a scared stray. She stayed silent, but then Ghost stared straight at her, truly looked, and something sparked in those bloodshot eyes. Not trust, not fear, but memory. The next mistake came from a technician who hadn't seen Ghost's earlier lunge. He moved too fast, offering out a muzzle like a peace token. His voice high and sweet, the tone people used with golden retrievers and house cats. "It's okay, buddy. I won't hurt you." Ghost's body didn't flinch. It exploded. A blur of teeth and muscle lunged at the muzzle, not to bite, but to obliterate the space between them. The tech dropped the muzzle, staggering back and knocking over a tray of sterile instruments. Scalpels clattered against the floor. Saline bottles shattered. Chaos erupted. "Back up, everyone, back!" an MP shouted, stepping protectively ahead. Ghost dropped to all fours, spinning to face the door. Eyes locked, body lowered, not to flee, but to hold his ground. The clinic doors slammed shut. Officers hurried to block every exit. Staff seized poles, dart guns, and restraints. He was about to tear someone apart. His vital signs were crashing. "We need a dart in him right now." In the corner, the lead veterinarian prepared a stronger sedative syringe. Another 3 minutes like this, and he'd bleed out for sure. "We sedate him, or we lose him." "No." Riley's voice came from the far wall. "If you put that in him, you're stopping his heart." No one paid attention, not to that tone. Not from her. Ghost's panting grew heavier. Tongue lolling, blood trickling in slow pulses from the jagged wound along his hind flank. Yet he refused to let anyone get close. Each time anyone moved near, he shifted back toward the metal exam table, his head turned sideways. Not to bite, but bracing, as if expecting the next hand to strike, or worse, inject, restrain, or replace him. Riley stepped forward. "Stop. Just stop." A major raised his voice sharply. "Hart, you're not cleared to enter the containment zone." Ghost's ears flicked toward the shout. Riley didn't flinch. "Look at him," she said. "Look deeper." The room fell silent, weary and tense. His hackles weren't raised. His pupils weren't blown wide with rage. He wasn't defensive. He was afraid. Waiting for something. Yeah, waiting to snap at whoever tries to save his life next. "No," Riley said. She stepped closer once. "He's not acting aggressively." Her voice softened. "He thinks you're the ones who hurt him." Ghost's eyes locked on hers. The growling ceased. Riley didn't raise her voice or demand obedience. She simply walked to the edge of the chaos, knelt just beyond the perimeter, where Ghost crouched, still braced for battle, and began to observe. No clipboard, no machines, just her gaze. She didn't focus on the wound, not yet. She studied how Ghost's paws were set, slightly splayed outward, a perfect stance from stealth recon drills. She noted how his ears never fully relaxed, his nostrils flaring each time someone moved behind him, not warning of threat, but a repeated scanning behavior practiced and automatic. Then she caught at a faded code tattooed inside his right ear, worn by time, nearly erased by salt and age, but still visible. Riley's heart tightened. She instantly recognized the format. That serial code didn't belong to this base. It didn't even belong to this branch. The sequence marked a defunct Tier Shadow SEAL K9 unit used solely for black site covert dogs. Ghost had once belonged to something most at this base didn't even know existed. "Do you know what this number means?" she asked over her shoulder. The senior vet barely met her eyes. "It means we have 10 minutes to save his leg. I don't care which kennel he's from." Riley's jaw tightened. She glanced at the MPs still leaning by the wall. "Where's his handler?" The two men exchanged a look. One hesitated, then quietly said, "Didn't make it killed in action 2 nights ago." And just like that, everything clicked. Ghost wasn't resisting because he was wild. He wasn't lashing out because he was untrained. He was fighting because the one voice he'd been trained to trust was gone. And everything after gloved hands, sterile commands, strangers screaming registered as danger, not salvation. The word handler pierced through him. Ghost emitted a low, broken whimper, body dipping a half-inch just like when he'd seen her earlier. Riley turned. Her voice dropped to a calm murmur. "Has anyone even attempted his original command protocol?" The vet snorted dismissively. "Commands are for hearts. He's a dog, not a soldier." That's when Ghost lunged again. Not at a person this time, but at the cabinet next to him. A heavy paw slammed against the cold metal, sending a tray of surgical prep kits crashing to the floor. Chaos erupted once more in the room. Riley held her ground. Slowly rising her eyes, never leaving the dog, she whispered just loud enough to be heard. "He's not merely a dog." Silence fell like a hush. Riley took another step forward. "He's one of us." The quiet didn't last. A sharp, cutting voice shattered the tension like a surgeon's blade. Who in hell allowed a trainee to override a trauma lockdown? All eyes snapped toward the speaker. A lieutenant commander flushed with frustration, strode in brass gleaming on his collar, command dripping from his tone. His glare fixed on Riley as if she was the real problem, not the frantic dog, or the dark pool of blood thickening beneath the gurney. I asked a question. No one answered. Not even the vet. Riley turned measured and firm. "Sir, with respect, the dog's not hostile. He's terrified reacting to you're not authorized to make that call," the commander snapped. "Back off before I write you up for obstruction." Heads nodded in agreement behind him. No one vocalized it, but everyone thought it. Who exactly did she think she was? Ghost still crouched, sensed the growing tension like an electric charge. His body coiled tight again, eyes flicking between the commander Riley and the medics prepping sedation. "We're wasting precious time." The vet growled, snapping a glove in place, gesturing toward the sedation tray. "Every moment he bleeds more. I'm done debating." "Double the dosage," he commanded. "If he's as aggressive as she claims, the standard mix won't hold him. You'll stop his heart." Riley insisted louder now. The vet scoffed. "Then maybe you should come up with some miracle words." Her mouth opened, then closed. She felt every skeptical gaze weighing on her, not just doubting, but daring her to prove it. "Fix this or step aside." Well, Lieutenant Commander barked, "Say something helpful or clear the way." Riley's eyes locked on Ghost. For the longest moment she remained silent. A stifled chuckle escaped someone in the back. "Thought so," a corpsman muttered quietly. But her silence wasn't born of fear. It was because what she understood was meant to be forgotten. The code phrases command trees, the psychological safety nets designed for tier shadow kinds who lost their handlers, all believed buried with the teams that never returned. She drew a steady breath and took a step forward. I might know something. It wasn't dramatic or loud, but Ghost's head cocked in curiosity. For the first time since the battlefield, he didn't growl. All eyes fixed on her. The lieutenant commander's brows furrowed. "What do you mean you know something?" But Riley ignored him. She moved slowly toward Ghost, step by deliberate step. "Don't approach him," the senior vet barked. "I'm not approving that." But Ghost didn't flinch. His panting ceased, ears rising. His gaze locked on Riley's, no growl. No lunge, just a coiled tension ready to snap at a whisper. Riley kept her hands relaxed, palms exposed, movements measured. She knelt down 2 steps away, resting her weight gently by her boots. Not asserting dominance nor yielding submission, just calm presence. And then, without sparing a glance toward anyone else in the room, she breathed out a phrase, 6 soft, measured syllables, clipped sharply like a radio transmission. It wasn't English, nor was it any common dog training jargon. It was a code carved from a secret phrasebook, written in blood and desert dust, meant only for a select few. The kind understood only by K9 units, scarred beneath the shadow of war. The language spoken when a handler had fallen in the line of duty. No leash, no muzzle, no voice could reach him. Ghost froze. His back legs trembled once, then steadied. His front claws softly tapped the tile as his posture softened. Then, like instinct etched in muscle, he inched forward low, neither crouching nor threatening. Closer and closer, step by slow step, closing the space between them until his injured leg extended toward Riley. It wasn't obedience, it was a willing surrender of trust, a silent bond of faith. I'll let only you treat me. Quiet fell heavy behind them. A hard exhale broke the stillness. A surgical nurse whispered, "What the hell just happened?" Riley breathed the second half of the code. Ghost lowered his head completely, not down to the floor, but to rest gently on her knee. Fresh blood pulsed from his wound, yet his breath slowed. The trembling ceased. His whole body deflated like a soldier finally stepping away from a long, exhausting watch. Then somehow he crawled into her lap, not seeking warmth or shelter, but seeking recognition. She laid her hand on his neck, just behind his battle-worn collar, and Ghost released a long, soft whine. A cry fractured halfway, like a buried memory breaking free from the depths of pain. No one stirred. Silence wrapped the room. Riley met their eyes briefly, and in that hush, every soul present, from MPs to the senior vet to cynical corpsmen, knew they witnessed something no protocol could ever explain. She didn't ask for permission. No orders were sought. Without hesitation, she fixed her gaze on Ghost's injury. She truly looked, then shifted into the one version of herself she had fought to bury since leaving combat med. "Gao," she said with steady calm. The room remained frozen. "Gao," she repeated, eyes locked on Ghost. "Suction saline, no sedation, no anesthesia. I'll flush it locally and pack the wound." The senior vet blinked, then signaled for the tray. Riley rolled up her sleeves as the instruments arrived. Her forearms were already streaked with Ghost's blood, but her hands moved with unwavering precision. She flushed the wound, once dislodging dried grit and hardened debris. A second, slower rinse followed, watching the shift of blood flow with each irrigation. "Entry point here. No deep puncture," she murmured. "Shrapnel looks like tungsten flesh, not high caliber. He's fortunate." Ghost didn't flinch. No growls. He lay still, pressed halfway against her knee, allowing her fingers to feel the torn muscle's edges as if recalling the healing touch her hands had been trained for. "I need light. Someone hold it right here." She motioned, and a surgical nurse moved forward, wordlessly lifting the LED overhead. "Apply pressure here. Light steady, not over the artery." Another technician stepped in, one after another. The clinic staff huddled closer, silent and focused. Mockery was gone, replaced by something darker, an uneasy respect. The dogs were responding to her. Someone whispered, "No, he's obeying her." Another corrected them quietly. As Riley packed the wound and clamped the bleeding, she kept speaking not to the room, but to Ghost. Her voice low and steady, rhythmically steady. The dogs answered her call. A voice murmured, "No, he's not just responding, he's following her lead." Another voice gently corrected. As Riley dressed the wound and stemmed the bleeding, her words flowed softly not to the room, but straight to Ghost. Her voice steady and soothing like a heartbeat. Not cooing, not soothing, just a rhythm, a familiar field code for pain control. She'd used that very cadence with human seals before, when morphine ran low, and there was no evac chopper coming. When your voice had to hold the body tight, Coax it through one more hour, one more steady breath. Pressure here. Stabilize with a karate chop. Draw a CBC. Let's check clotting factors. I need vitals monitored on this leg. A nurse passed her the lines. Without missing a beat, Riley clipped them on and ran it all. Ghost didn't flinch, not even once. His eyes stayed locked onto hers, full of trust. The vet finally edged and voice hushed. He shouldn't be this steady. He's not, Riley said quietly. He's just holding still for me. She glanced up at the vet, catching the lieutenant commander still stunned near the back wall. He's doing this because I told him to. The monitor beeped once, then again. Ghost's breathing evened out slow but steady. His color, faint under that fur, shifted from cold ash to something warmer, stronger. The worst had passed. For the first time all night, the room wasn't leaking red. And the only reason was a woman they'd dismissed as a rookie just 30 minutes ago. Ghost's breathing had settled. Not calm. Never fully calm, but slower now, steady enough for the heart monitor's quiet rhythm. No alarms rang out, and the staff stepped back, giving Riley the space she needed to clean the wound's last traces. Crouched beside him, she began wrapping a compression bandage tight around the thigh. Her hands steady, practiced no tremble, no hesitation. But there was a hard, taut edge behind her eyes. Something all noticed now that they finally looked. The senior vet cleared his throat. "Where'd you pick up that code, Hart?" She didn't answer at once. A younger corpsman still held the light, their eyes flicking between them. That wasn't just code, it was tear shadow phrasing, wasn't it? Riley's shoulders stiffened. For a moment, the only sound was the slow drone of the overhead light and distant hum of the base generators. Tear shadow. A word not meant to be spoken aloud. Not by civilians nor enlisted who hadn't served beneath its weight. That name existed only in fragments, whispered rumors and redacted training tapes shrouded in black. A unit whose missions were so deep under lock and key that even their dogs carried codenames more secret than their handlers. Ghost's ear twitched. He hadn't broken eye contact since she knelt beside him. "I didn't just learn it," Riley said finally, voice low but steady. "I helped write parts of it." Silence followed. "I wasn't merely a field medic. Before I rotated out, I worked with Ghost's unit. I didn't train him directly, but I helped design the handler override protocols. I helped build the distress re-engagement sequences." The vet blinked in surprise. "So he, knows you?" She shook her head, a flicker of tears brightening her eyes. "No, he knows my voice. He remembers the echo of those who trained him, his true handler." Her voice broke for the first time all night. Her closest friend was his handler. The room held its breath. Ghost gently nudged her hand with his muzzle, purposeful and tender. Riley swallowed hard. She stayed still silent, but her free hand rose to rest on his head. "I left after our last mission." The lieutenant commander broke his silence for the first time since the sudden change. His voice carried a gentler tone. "What's the mission?" Riley remained silent, but Ghost answered by slowly curling tighter against her, pressing into her boot, as if it were his only anchor to reality. When the night commander arrived, the glass outside the trauma room had become thick with onlookers. Military police medics and a few off-duty corpsmen, drawn by murmurs of a feral dog in the clinic, crowded silently observing through the narrow window. The room was hushed, as Ghost, once untouchable, lay quietly, his head resting softly in Riley's lap, bandaged, closely watched, steadying his breath. The commander entered, clipboard in hand, impatience etched into his features. "Who authorized this breach?" His voice snapped sharply, eyes scanning the room before locking on Riley. She held her ground, unflinching. Ghost did not. The moment the man's volume rose, Ghost lifted his head. His ears flattened, the muscles along his shoulders tensed. Then came the low, warning growl. Every technician in the room froze. The commander blinked in disbelief. "Did that dog just growl at me?" Riley stayed still. "Sir, he's still recovering." Loud noises spook him. He sees a threat in your raised voice. "I outrank everyone here," the commander barked. But Ghost stepped forward, not aggressively, not hostile, but with the raw instinct of loyalty and memory protecting what he loved. Riley finally rose her hand steady and calm on Ghost's flank. "Stand down," she whispered, not to Ghost. He was already alert, but contained. She addressed the room, speaking to the tension to the fragile chain of command, unsure how to navigate the invisible bonds between man-dog and duty. The senior veterinary officer stepped forward beside her, clearing his throat. "Sir." Without her intervention, Ghost wouldn't have survived. "I don't see your name on the surgical board," the commander said coldly. Quietly, an MP near the door approached with a tablet in hand. "Sir, here's her record." The commander accepted it, his eyes scanning quickly before freezing in place. His gaze snapped to Riley. "You served under Tear Shadow," he said quietly. It was not a question. She met his stare. "I supported the unit until they disbanded." He looked at Ghost, then back to her. "This file is partially sealed, because some truths don't belong in headlines," Riley answered steadily. The commander paused, then slowly straightened, shifting his posture with newfound respect. In front of the entire clinic, he saluted not for her rank or badge, but for her sacrifice, for the courage they had all witnessed. Riley didn't return the salute. Instead, she stepped aside, nodding toward Ghost. He's the one who truly earned it. A heavy silence fell over the room. Then, unexpectedly, the commander lowered his hand and did something no one anticipated. He saluted the dog with solemn honor. One by one, everyone else in the room followed suit. The atmosphere softened. Ghost's vital signs held steady. Fluids dripped steadily. His breathing was even, though occasional chest hitches betrayed a pain no bandage could heal. Those were the echoes of memories, wounds deeper than flesh. Riley sat silently beside him, cross-legged her hand, never leaving the dog's shoulder. Since the salutes, she had spoken little and needed none. That's when the base commanding officer stepped in, calm, composed clipboard, tucked neatly under his arm ribbons, aligned sharply across his chest. "I've been briefed," he said simply. "I'm not here to question your methods or how you knew exactly what to do." He turned to Ghost. "I'm here to ask what comes next. K9 units like this, they don't get reassigned so easily. Yet tonight it's clear Ghost refuses any ordinary handler." The hesitation said it all, but the rest was unspoken. Ghost needed someone he had already chosen. Riley averted her gaze. Ghost, however, was watching her. No stare, just patient waiting. Just. Without a single sound, he rose slowly, painfully, his bandaged leg limping but still steady. Taking 3 deliberate steps, he then pressed his head softly against her boot. The commanding officer observed this silent exchange with quiet understanding. "Seems like he made the decision." Riley swallowed hard. "I left combat for a reason," she murmured. "I told myself I would never return." The CO stayed silent. No reply was needed. Ghost answered instead. He circled once, and then settled beside her. Not leaning, not demanding, just waiting. The way he would have anticipated his handler's signal amid gunfire. Riley surveyed the room staff, who once doubted her technicians, frozen in awe, and the vet who hadn't blinked since the first code was spoken. Finally, she nodded. "I'll train with him," she said softly, "for as long as he needs." The CO gave a slow, approving nod. The senior vet gave a faint, approving smile. "Looks like you found your new mission." Ghost thumped his tail once, not eager, not thrilled, certain he had made his choice. Riley bent down, running a hand down the back of his neck, whispering the 6-syllable phrase again, not to soothe him, but to vow a promise he wasn't going back to that cage. He wasn't returning to the darkness. He would never be alone again. Would you have dared to approach a dog everyone else called dangerous, like Riley did? Do you believe K9S grieve their handlers as profoundly as this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. If you're still here, tap like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a story. Share this video with someone who believes in the valor of K9 heroes. When the end screen appears, choose another story to watch next. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, with a brand new tale. He wasn't biting nor barking, but bleeding, trapped inside a military clinic, snapping at every hand that tried to help. They called him unmanageable. They said he was lost beyond help. They didn't know he had just lost his handler in combat, and now the only soul he trusted was gone. Until one woman arrived, silent, composed, her rookie badge glinting on her vest. When she knelt beside him and whispered those 6 secret syllables no one else understood, the dog collapsed into her lap, as if he'd been waiting for that voice all along. What happened next shocked the entire base and proved once and forever that legends don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear fur. Before we reveal the exact moment everything changed, drop a comment telling us where on earth you're watching from. Tap like, subscribe, and make sure your notifications are on, because this is a story you never saw coming. And the rookie was never truly a rookie after all. The newcomer was never truly a rookie in the first place.